So, Stu, yesterday we were talking. How much did you say the FDIC had in its full account?
Gosh, I don't have the number up in front of me still, but I think it was 128 billion.
Yeah, something like that. Let's just be generous. Say it's 150 because that's over, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so 150. In 2007, 25 banks. They had to be bailed out, including Washington Mutual, the single largest bank failure in history. Total of $526 billion, and that was over 12 months. In the last 5 weeks, we have had 3 U.S. banks fail, and we're already over the 2007 total by $6 billion.
Jeez.
This is the data from the Federal Reserve, and I don't know if there's more to come because the Federal Reserve is have to wait 2 years before they give you the official numbers. So I'm not we can't verify for 2 years. Now that is adjusted for inflation, but it doesn't include Credit Suisse a month ago. And we have no idea how much the Federal Reserve provided in emergency lending there because it was overseas, a foreign bank. They don't have to report anything again for 2 years. Now you have PacWest and Western Alliance in deep trouble. Yesterday, the bank stock index lost 50% of its value in the past 2 months. It's starting to smell like a panic. There are other banks now on the chopping block. So we are already ahead of 2007 in bank failures compared to 2007. We're already ahead of that.
That's remarkable. I mean, there's no feeling in the media, no indication to the average person that this is anywhere close to the size of what happened in 2008.
And isn't it interesting that it took 27 banks to equal 5 this time, to beat 5?
And the whole point of their crappy legislation after this happened in 2007 and 2008 was to make sure these big banks don't get too big.
Correct.
They were supposed to avoid this exact thing.
Yeah.
And now
they're too big. Now all of them are too big to fail.
And not only has a $213 billion bank gone under, but they sold it to the largest bank in the country. So that one's even bigger.
First Republic. Now just think of this in deposits. Okay. Just think of, FDIC. All of this money isn't in deposits, obviously. But First Republic, $213 billion. Silicon, $209 billion. Signature, $110 billion. $94 billion in 24 other banks. And $432 billion in the Washington Mutual Bank. Okay? So, wow, that's not good, right? So $213 billion, $209 billion, $110 billion. You're already over your FDIC. You're already over.
Right.
Just that.
Which is one of the reasons why they do these forced sales.
Correct.
Right?
And you look at, it was 432 in Washington Mutual Bank. Well, we've got that in two banks already, this failure, and another $110 billion on what it took for $100 billion in 2007, 24 other banks. One bank, and it's over that. And where are you getting the money to bail all these people out with their deposits? Where's that? Where?
In this case, J.P. Morgan Chase, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Now, remember, all that doesn't mean all that money is gone, right? These banks, when they go under, they just are...
They sold to J.P. Morgan Chase for the good... They took the good things that J.P. Morgan Chase could use that'll help them grow even bigger, and they left on the table for the Fed, for us, all of the stuff that's collapsing.
Mm-hmm. And we should also note that First National Bank would have collapsed months ago if not for places like J.P. Morgan Chase depositing $30 billion into their account to keep it afloat. That already happened. And that's now
we have no
past.
idea how much money they have given to these banks already. Okay, so let me ask you, what caused the instability? What caused Silicon Valley Bank to go?
Silicon Valley Bank was this. Basically, they had long-term assets. So they take, you deposit $100. They take your $100. They deposit it into a fund that pays 2%. And then all the interest rates go up because the Fed decides to jack them all up. And suddenly, though the investments they made thinking, it's long-term debt, it's very, we haven't had inflation in such a long time. When the inflation goes up, it lowers the value of that $100 they invested.
Correct.
So now
mark to market.
Now they can't take the $100 out because it's locked into this investment.
Right.
And they can only get it out at a lower rate, and they don't have enough to cover the deposits that are there.
Correct.
Just terrible risk management combined with the Fed doing something they hadn't done in 20 years.
Okay. So that's what kicked off Silicon Valley Bank and all of these banks. They're all out of whack.
Yeah,
Okay?
I think it's partially in play here with First National, and then Signature had a little bit more crypto exposure,
Sure.
but which was a little bit of that. But
you
still,
also have the problem that there is a tight money supply, right? Because of the jacking up of the rates. So everything's stopping. Okay. Today. The Federal Reserve is slated to raise interest rates for the 10th time in over 12 months. The 10th time. After their two-day meeting yesterday, Central Bank expected to announce a quarter-point hike, which would bring the Fed's benchmark interest rate to a level between 5 and 5.25%. So that's great. But they are saying, but we think this will get it under control. If not, we're going to have to do it again. You're at a breaking point. I know nothing about this stuff. But I know enough to know you cannot continue to raise interest rates or you will break the back of the economy. But they're doing it anyway. Now, what's the other thing that they say could break the back of the economy? The other thing is the debt ceiling. If we don't pay our bills, we're going to be downgraded. Yeah, we will. So what is the plan? The House says we'll negotiate. White House won't negotiate. We'll negotiate. But if you want the debt ceiling raised, you've got to cut spending. Now, we'll show you where we think you can do it, but you got to cut it. So where are you cutting spending? The White House says we're not. Now, think of this. Your inflation is caused by too many dollars. There's just too much. We've printed too much money. That's why they're raising the interest rate. That brings that money, sucks it back into the Treasury where they can burn it. Okay? Get rid of it. Our government is borrowing more money, which they then have to print far more than you and I are spending at TJ Maxx. Okay? Far more than all of Americans. We went out and we just were on a credit card binge. We wouldn't make a dent into what the federal government is spending. And yet we're going to be the ones paying the price. Why is nobody up in arms saying you've got to cut the deficit? You have to stop spending money. But the Democrats in the House and the Senate and the White House say Congress has to raise the debt limit without any spending cuts or any other conditions. Screw you. Where is my representation? Sincerely, where is my representation? Yes, we can vote for clowns, but they have given away their responsibility. They have given away the only thing that can be done with an out-of-control government is to cut the budgets and bring it back under control. That's the job of Congress. But they gave that away in 2008. We don't care anymore. Well, how am I being represented? How are you being represented? They don't care. They'll bail everybody's college funds out. They'll bail them out because they don't have to answer to you. It's being done through the administrative arm. That's unconstitutional. And what are they doing? They're saying that a debt ceiling from Congress is unconstitutional. They don't need it. They're actually now pushing that Constitution doesn't say anything about a debt ceiling. No, because our Constitution says pay your debts. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
That's actually their argument, too, that the Constitution says pay your debts. So even if Congress makes a law saying we have a debt ceiling, we can ignore it because the Constitution says, because, look, the left cares about the Constitution. The Biden administration, they're super constitutional. It's all they care about. They want to make sure they're very loyal to that document. So that is actually the argument they're making behind the scenes, and they've been floating to the media now. There's this, they're having these conversations, and Joe Biden's not sure if this is actually the right way to go, but this is what they're just. Some aides are bringing it up.
They're always doing
this stuff. They're floating this. And look,
and even if it's not sure, he'll just do it anyway.
He doesn't care.
He will just do it anyway.
Evidenced by the student loan program, which obviously is unconstitutional, obviously. And he's doing it anyway.
I want to